This time we're back to look at the SEC. We're asking the question, is the SEC doing enough? And to answer the question, we're going to be looking at what the SEC and the regulators are doing. Because whilst this may seem unrelated to AMC, it really is on the wider spectrum. It's related to both this stock and the wider markets because the SEC and other authorities are there to protect people like you and me. They're there to protect the retail investors in the US market. So here we're looking at what they are doing, what they have done, and then at the end we're asking if that is enough. So this is going to be based on the evidence that we do have, but of course I will be giving my opinions on it as we do go through. If it sounds good, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe. Of course, share it if you can as well. We're trying to get the message out there to as many people as possible. But remember, as always, this is not financial advice. So I'm going to get in with the first piece that we have. Now, this one is coming from Reuters, and we can see it's talking about JP Morgan. Now, this was written on the 17th of December 2021, so it's really not that old. And it speaks about JP Morgan Securities to pay a $200 million settle to US regulators on charges record-keeping lapses. So basically they haven't appropriately kept records by the look of it. If we have a look, it will say US regulators fined JP Morgan Securities $200 million for widespread failures to preserve staff communications on personal mobile devices, messaging apps, and emails, and are probing similar lapses at other financial institutions, they said. So it gives us an idea of what's going on over here, but also on top of that, it does show us what the SEC and of course the regulators have done. This one is speaking generally about the US regulators, and there we go. So what do we think to that? Do we think it is enough? Of course, 200 million is a large amount, but we'll get to that in a moment. I think this one is of course a larger amount than what we have seen in the past, but again, it is something that we do have to ask about, because whilst it may seem big on the surface, we have to actually ask how much profit they have gone on to make. So let's now go on to our second piece, and this one is coming from the SEC themselves on Twitter. It's speaking about what they have done. It's saying that they have awarded more than 40 million to whistleblowers. We can see this one says that SEC issues awards totaling more than 40 million to 4 whistleblowers. So I think what this is trying to show is that there is an incentive there for people to get that cash. But again, are the institutions, is that prize enough? Because 40 million between 4 is obviously around 10 million each. And 10 million is a lot of money to me and you, but to somebody working in these big banks, hedge funds and institutions, is that going to be enough to do the job? Of course, it depends who they are trying to get this information off, but there you go. Now, going on to that with a similar note, we have this from the SEC on their own website. It says that SEC announces enforcement results for the financial year 2021. It says, agency brought significant actions in traditional emerging areas, whistleblowers program surpassed 1 billion in awards. I think that's pretty cool. You know, it is a large amount of money, and of course it could be the amount that makes a difference, because like I've said before, if there's no incentive for people to do the right thing, a lot of people, especially in the financial world, unfortunately will not do the right thing. So the fact they have this little incentive there is kind of good, but again, it does go back to the question, is it enough? Now we're going to get onto our next piece, and it is asking the question, is it enough? Is speaking about the contrast and what appears to be the double standards that are going on. It says, defraud your insurance company and you go to prison. Defraud retail investors with inaccurate information presented as fact and you are fined a proportion of your profits. That's not a penalty, it's a tax. I do like what Tweeting Twit says over here, because this last point especially, I've been saying this for some time. If they're going to charge, anything below 50% really, as the fine, it can be charged as a tax, because if we think about it right, all the companies have to do, the institutions, all they have to do is make sure their profit margin is worth it, and then of course out of that profit margin just take the amount it is and just call it as an extra tax. They don't get any repercussions really for breaking these rules, and therefore there is no incentive for them to do it. So like I've said before, in my opinion, I think we need harsher sentencing, if you will, for these sorts of things. If it was up to me, I think they should be charged at least 150% of their, profits. So basically everything that they make gets taken back, but also they lose money out of what they initially put in. That would be a start of an incentive. Now, others have said as well that these people should go to prison. Again, that's up to you. I think that definitely would be an incentive, though. It's just one thing to think about, but why is it looking like this, you know? Obviously, I can only talk about what I have seen, but I have seen some absolutely blatant cases from the big banks, institutions, etc., and all they get is fines, you know? Where are the proper punishments for these people? Because it can just be offset as a proportion of tax. It doesn't mean anything unless there are those big incentives there for these people to do the things that they need to do. So this one may have seemed a little bit unrelated, but I think when we tie it back into AMC, it really is important because, like I said, the regulators are there to monitor what's going on and to protect us and the wider markets as well. And if they are not doing that, why? There's been so much things going on in the AMC community, some of it quite obvious, you know, pointing to the potential of synthetic shares manipulation. And how long is it going to be until we actually have that action being taken? That is my question. I do not know. Because we've been here now for about a year. What's it going to be? Is it going to be another year? Another 2? How long is it going to be until we see the change that we need to have a fair and safe market? Now, of course, I do not know, but what we can do is point out what's going on, point out what we know, look at what the SEC is doing, and question everything, because it never hurts to question anything, to shed a different opinion on it, or at least that's the way that I think. So I hope you did enjoy the video, guys. I'll be back with you hopefully again in a bit, so see you then, goodbye. Thank you for watching through till the end, but let me tell you about our Discord. So on your screen you will be seeing the N2S Finance Discord. Obviously it is split into multiple sections. Basically at the top we have updates from me and all that kind of good stuff. If you scroll down a bit further we have the main sections where we focus on cryptos, SPACs and other hot stocks including penny stocks, even stable growth stocks as well, and we even have a special AMC GME chat. If you scroll down you can see some research and DD from the community. We also have funny memes and you can see actual contributions from members down here. And again, if you do join us, it is completely free, link is down below. But if you do want to become a Patreon, you will actually get a pink sticker which will be displayed on your name. So your name will come up in pink as mine comes up in red down here, and that will show that you are a Patreon. But other than that, guys, you can join completely for free down below. You do not have to pay anything if you do not want to. Thank you for watching, see you soon.